Welcome to Story Strategy Live with Evident Inc. You've got Dawn and Nancy here today, and we're going to talk about twisting tropes. Hello, Dawn. Uh-oh. You froze like right at the very beginning. I said hello, and then there was no response at all. But now you're back.
I said, hello, how are you?
Oh, then I must have frozen. Sorry. I am okay. We're moving things along. I spent the day registering my kids for new schools because we bought a house.
Which is so exciting. That is so exciting.
It is exciting. It's a kind of bittersweet. Like, I like the area that we're living in right now, but I don't love the house itself or the neighborhood because everybody's like, I can like literally out here, I can often hear my neighbor talking because their fence is literally almost like connected to our house into their backyard, and their garage is another maybe 3 feet from that. So the neighborhood is just packed in, and I feel like everyone's in your business and we're always on display, and I don't like any of that. So the new house doesn't have any of that. We have like the backyard opens up a hillside, and so it's on more than a quarter acre. It's really private, and that's super hard to find around here. But that's the problem. It's not really around here. So it's in Castle Rock, which is, if Denver's here, where we live right now is here, and then Castle Rock is like here, and then Colorado Springs is down even lower. So it's like another 20 minutes from all this stuff. But what are you going to do, Dawn?
Isn't Castle Rock where all of Stephen King's book take place?
I think his books all take place in Maine.
Right, but I think the town is Castle Rock or Castle something.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm
like
sure
the name of it.
I'm sure there won't be creepy things like vampires or dogs or, weird shops that have demon-possessed items. I'm sure none of that will happen in your new neighborhood. It'll be fine.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it's very charming as you drive. It's like in a hill, like a wooded area. So you drive up. It was snowing the day we went and looked. So like all the pine trees were standing tall with snow dusting their branches, and it looked very charming. But it's still pretty far away. But whatever, so I never leave the house anyway, so.
All you're going to do is pack and move and unpack and
that's all yeah.
Fun stuff.
And paint, because this house has the most terrifying purple walls. And they like paint splattered the ceiling in the dining room. Like they must have literally been like, all right, everybody come on in. And look, that was a bad idea.
Is it paint splattered purple?
They seem to have chosen carefully a palette of colors that appear on the walls in other places in the house. So yes, there's some purple, there's some poop brown, and a little bit of smeary baby poop yellow.
Yeah. On the ceiling.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Just in that one room though.
I feel like we're going to need pictures of this. I'm just saying, I feel like
this is why, like, I told my mom that we offered on a house, and she was like, oh, send me the link. I'm going to look at it. And I was like, no.
no, you can't
I'll
see
show
it
it to you after we redo it. And she's like, well, that's not fair. That's going to be months. And I was like, yeah. But it'll look good then.
Okay, I totally think that the people watching should vote that Nancy should take pictures of the paint splattered ceiling and share that with us.
I will, and I will take a picture of the bathroom where they painted the ceiling in the same, I think it's the same purple that I don't know. We're going back in tomorrow for the inspections, and so I'll have the ability to take pictures. This time I'll know, this is our house, so I'll be taking pictures of certain things that I need to fix.
That's exciting. I'm going to look forward to that a lot.
Okay.
See, Kate said yes. You should take pictures.
Yes.
Our audience wants this.
House in a creepy neighborhood with purple. It has a bright purple front door too. So I actually kind of like, but I'm not going to keep it.
Isn't purple supposed to be like the color of royalty or something?
Mm-hmm.
See, there you go. You now have a royal house.
Sure. It does not have shag carpets. It does have, I hate this. So usually not like we've bought a million houses, but we were military, so we moved a bit. And so most houses, when we buy them, we do rip out the carpet and replace it first thing, because carpets usually take a ton of wear and tear, and it's just kind of gross. I don't know. But so this house, like the carpet that goes up the stairs, the whole first floor is hardwood and tile in the kitchen. So we're not doing anything there yet. But all the way from, I think, the base of the stairs and then through all the bedrooms upstairs is brown carpet, which I understand why people put in brown carpet. It's very wise. But it is like a shag about this long, which, normally we've had the real close, like not necessarily Berber, but the real low pile.
Short.
So it is almost like shag carpet, Kate. It'll be soft. Full of dust.
It'll keep your feet warm when it's cold.
Sure. Yeah. So there are things to be done, but it's not like it needs a total renovation like some of the places we've moved into. So yay.
That's exciting. I'm excited for you.
I am excited.
And so to go with your almost renovation of your house, we're doing spring cleaning.
And so today we're going to talk about, we've talked about tropes before. Today we're going to talk about how to use them so they're not overused, kind of twisting your tropes.
Twisting the tropes.
So
we're going to start with, what is a trope? Tell us about tropes.
What is a trope? So a trope is basically, it's like a setup. And this is a word that, at least in my house, gets misused a lot. Now my husband, because I have talked about tropes so much, because they are big in romance. In fact, if you are going to write for like Harlequin or one of the Entangled imprints, if you go to their submissions page, it will tell you, this type of book is usually 50,000 words long, written in third person, and contains at least 3 tropes. And so when you prepare your synopsis or when you submit or whatever, you have to make sure you hit all those requirements. But they specifically say you will have this many tropes. So a trope is something that builds the skeleton of the story. Like it tells you anything from what the actual setup of the story is going to be to who are the characters or what backgrounds do they come from. They're things like enemies to lovers, best friend's brother, ugly duckling. What else?
Secret babies.
Secret baby. Billionaire.
Marriage of convenience.
Become a trope. It's not really a trope. It's more of a hero. Yeah, marriage of convenience, fake relationship. There are literally hundreds. And there's a very comprehensive list on Mindy Klasky's website. If you just search tropes, Mindy Klasky. She was also on episode 8 with us talking about tropes. So you can pop back onto our website and dig up that episode if you want to hear more about tropes and how they're useful. But
you can find any of our previous shows on on the Evident Ink website and on YouTube.
And also if you listen to podcasts, if you go into the Apple, or I think wherever you get your podcasts, you should be able to find Story Strategy as a podcast. So you won't be able to see, all of the crazy gags that we do.
All of our beautiful faces.
Or our faces. But
so yes, we have reruns available for you.
Yes.
So the thing you hear about tropes is that there's no original stories left, that every story has been told. And we're all just retelling stories that have already been told. How do we feel about that?
I think you have to change your perspective on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing necessarily. It is true. I don't think it's a bad thing, though. Readers and humans search for things that are familiar and comfortable. Mm-hmm. So tropes offer almost a guarantee about what they're going to find when they open your book. If they know that this is going to be an enemies to lovers story, that gives them enough information to know that, hey, I love enemies to lovers stories. I'm probably going to like this book. And I think though they're big in romance, they also do get used in other genres, right?
Yes. So you see them in thrillers, you see them in horror I said movies, but horror stories. I have been told, we've already established, I don't do horror, but you have the trope in like horror of the girl who's home by herself and there's somebody creeping outside. I'm sure they have their own names for them. I'm not familiar with them. But then when you're looking at mysteries and suspense, you have the damsel in distress and the hero
that's detective, maybe.
Yeah. the police officer that's a detective, that's the hard-boiled protective with the heart of gold, or you have the amateur sleuth, or the person who stumbles into the crime. So yeah, they're everywhere. And I think you made it for things that are familiar, because for me, knowing what the trope is kind of like when you get together with people you've known for a long time and you know the same stories are going to come out. Like everybody's going to be the whole, oh, remember when this happened? And so when you're looking at these books, and like you said, I pick up this book and I'm like, oh, this is a Friends to Lovers. I love Friends to Lovers. You know what's going to happen. You're just going to enjoy the story again.
Right. And so that also becomes a very powerful marketing tool. If you're going to run a Facebook ad to your book, it may say in the headline, Friends to Lovers, or because there's a certain audience that will immediately be like, that's for me. So you can definitely use those they're almost like keywords that you can use in your description. And even in romance, a lot of people are using them in subtitles at this point to basically flag those readers that read that type of book, which I think is smart.
Yes. Now you just have to not trick your reader. And I think we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But if you set this up as it's a Friends to Lovers,
it better be.
She better not ride off into the sunset with somebody else at the end.
Right. And the hero doesn't die.
No, nobody died. Well, I mean, I guess people can die, but
preferably not the hero in a romance or the heroine.
Yes.
And the question, like, does this make it so that all stories are boring and we know exactly what's going to happen? To some degree, yes. You kind of know what's going to happen in a Friends to Lovers story, right? It's right there in the trope name. But you can build it in lots of different ways. And if you think of all the Friends to Lovers movies or romances or other stories you've ever read, no two are exactly the same, right? So these are just basically the scaffolding that starts the building. Just as I'm sure most buildings in downtown, whatever city you want to name, have a very similar framework inside. The way they look on the outside is very different. And that's exactly how tropes work for stories. Exactly, Dawn. Exactly like that.
Exactly. That is exactly how it is. Well, and we're going to talk about twisting them and how to make them a little different. But there's a line there that I think we're going to address of you want to avoid rage reading.
Where someone gets super mad and like quits reading?
Yes. Well, or I have been known to do rage reading on a mystery or a suspense. Not so much on romance, because I know how the romance is supposed to end. And so if I start getting fed up with it, I'll just put it down. But on a mystery or suspense, usually I still need to know who did it. I still have this urge to solve the puzzle, but then I'm just flipping through pages being like, oh, well, now they're doing this and now they're doing, and that's usually when my husband offers to pay for the book if I will put it down and not talk to him about it anymore, which is not the point. That is not the point. That when you're twisting these tropes, you don't want your reader throwing the book against the wall at the end of the book because you didn't follow through. The tropes go with the promise of the premise that we talk about so much. And if you don't follow through on that, that's when you get readers who are angry. And that's when they go and write bad things in your reviews.
And we're going to talk about how to deal with that later. I think we have an episode on handling negative feedback soon.
Yes, later. But for the best example I can think of it from a long time ago was the movie Pay It Forward. And
I don't know if I saw that. Is that a Helen Hunting movie?
I think so. I saw it before I had kids, so it was probably like literally 20 years ago. But it was billed as like this feel-good movie where there's this cute little kid who it starts this movement of doing random acts of kindness, and it spreads and everybody's all excited and happy, everything's good. And then he gets stabbed at the end and dies.
Oh.
Yes.
There's that. Okay.
That would have been my face leaving the movie theater.
I don't like that.
as I was calling my friend who had told me to go see this movie and yelling at her, "You didn't tell me he was gonna die."
What the hell were you thinking?
Yes, exactly.
Was it supposed to be like some kind of message about like sure, there's good in the world, but look at this. It also sucks.
And it was the legacy he left and all of that. So when you're setting up these twists on the tropes, everybody likes to be edgy and mine's completely different. Different has to be different within certain parameters that make it still where I don't want to one-star your book. So not that I've ever one-starred a book ever in my entire life, but just as an example.
Yeah, I never get why people do that. If you don't like a book, just like, do you really feel like you need to protect the community of readers from reading this book that you have decided is no good? If I don't like a book, I just don't review it. Move on. But whatever. Says the author who has had 1-star reviews and been like, but why?
Why would you do that?
It's just not very nice.
Okay. So we listed some of our favorite tropes and our less than favorite tropes.
Yes. So, well, before we go there, do you want to do the quiz?
Yes. I forgot about the quiz.
Don't look at it because you're going to have to guess the things probably.
I don't have my glasses on. I can't see it.
Okay, good, because the answers are super small
size 18
and they're blurry.
Font over here.
Okay. So I have a list of 7 movies, because movies are, as we always say, more likely to have been something that you saw than if I name some random books. And I have 7 tropes. So I guess it's hard because you can't see the tropes. You're just going to have to guess. And anyone watching, you are welcome to submit a guess as well. It's called Beat Dawn to the Trope, this game.
Let's go.
Okay.
Right now, it just looks like Kate's watching Kate. Let's do this.
All right.
No pressure.
And if you're not sure what you would call this trope, just take a guess at it or describe-ish. So we'll start with an easy one. Twilight.
Am I supposed to answer first, or are we waiting to see if somebody else is going to answer?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Twilight is absolutely a love triangle.
Yes.
I mean, but it's also, I can't see what that is. Is that somebody with their hand up?
It is. You don't have to put your hand up, Kate, because Dawn they'll just start talking. And so you should just put the answer if you think you know.
Yes.
And anyone else, there are other viewers, they just aren't commenting. So
yes, y'all can talk to us.
Okay.
Twilight is absolutely a love triangle, but I would also say it's a fish out of water, which is another trope that we don't talk about too much. But the fact that she moves to this whole new town and has to learn a whole new like vampire culture thing, and so
right. Well, okay, so let me give you, this will be easier. I'll give you the tropes. I'll just list them real quick so you can have them in your head, and then I'll give you another one to guess. So the love triangle is correct for that one. The other ones that I have are a forbidden romance, a marriage of convenience, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, mistaken identity, my favorite, and boss/subordinate. Okay. Mm-hmm. So can you tell me what you think When Harry Met Sally might be?
Oh, that's one of my favorite movies ever. So I absolutely know which one that one is. I'll wait.
It took me a second to think about it, but yeah, let me make sure I'm right. Yeah.
I mean, you made the quiz. You should know if you're right.
Right. But as I told you, I discovered this on my hard drive from years ago. So,
okay. So When Harry Met Sally is friends to lovers.
Yes, definitely. And it takes forever. Like it's
like
a very
decades.
Slow burn. Yes. Okay. How about The Empire Strikes Back? It's a little random. I don't even know the answer, to be honest.
Is that
I don't know how I got that. You may disagree because I kind of do, but I don't know those stories super well.
Is it a mistaken identity?
No. I have it as enemies to lovers.
Oh, yes. Yes, because Leia does not like Han when she first meets him.
Is that why? Okay, that's the only thing I could think of.
He's very arrogant and very annoying.
Yes. Okay, fair. Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, that's a forbidden romance. Actually, I have to just go on my little tangent here. Romeo and Juliet is not a romance. It is a tragedy. They're teenagers who fall in love in
We
72 hours
know,
and 6
Dawn.
people die.
We know, but also, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call The Empire Strikes Back a romance either.
No,
So
it's
I
not.
did not say these were all romances.
So that definitely a forbidden romance.
Yes, agree. What about Superman?
What are my choices?
Forbidden romance, marriage of convenience, enemies to lovers, love triangle, friends to lovers, mistaken identity, or boss subordinate.
Superman?
Yes, Superman.
Well, okay, so we don't want to bring up the whole Marvel versus DC thing.
Let's not. Let's just not.
But
we know it's not deep, so just on its surface.
Superman, oh, well, it's a hidden identity. Does that count?
Yes. So
Okay.
mistaken identity, we'll say. But
Okay.
in the little article that I wrote, which I honestly, I don't remember this at all, but it's not just a mistaken identity. It could even be called a love triangle because Clark Kent is in love with Lois Lane, right? But Lois Lane is in love with Superman, but Superman is actually Clark Kent. So it's what we call a two-legged love triangle, which is just a line.
Just parallel bars, but okay.
What about My Fair Lady? Have you seen that one?
I have never seen My Fair Lady. I'm going to have to admit that.
That's
we
okay.
watched it in my drama class in high school, and I literally slept through it. I'm really sorry, Mrs. Sheffield. I should have stayed awake. But I've not seen it.
You can do process of elimination because there's only one more. So the only two that you have left are Marriage of Convenience and Boss Subordinate. And the last movie is The Proposal.
Well, the proposal was the Boss Subordinate.
It actually was, but it was also the other one.
It's also a Marriage of Convenience too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she doesn't want it. She wants a green card.
Mm-hmm. My Fair Lady was Boss Subordinate as well.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be honest.
So I made a 90?
I've never seen it. So I honestly can't tell you any more about it. You probably got 80 out of that.
Sure, that works. I passed.
You pass. You can move on. Okay, so what are your favorite tropes, would you say?
I like friends to lovers. I like bad boy hero, like mafia romances, those type of
like the alpha kind of bad boy hero.
Not the like I'm so amazing, I am alpha, you should fall at my feet, but like the Sons of Anarchy type. I love you so much, I will go stab this dude and be back in just a minute.
Like the teddy bear in person, the fierce warrior on the street. Yeah.
Yeah, that type of thing. And I like secret relationships.
Where they have to act like they're not together, but they are.
Right.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I kind of like that.
You can build tons of tension and conflict and all of that. So those are my top three, I would say.
So I like enemies to lovers a lot. I always think it's fun watching, especially if there's a lot of banter. I like banter. Mm-hmm. And I really like mistaken identity because I think there's so many different ways you can play with that. Anything from the Superman example to like the Love Vixen book that I still have to write that comes out in July is going to be a girl who is like down on her luck. She goes to work for her uncle's like coffee shop in New York City and delivers an order up to this big office on Madison Avenue. And it's an ad agency. And as soon as she like puts the coffee down, she bumps into this executive, not physically, Dawn. They won't actually bump into each other. But he turns around and sees her and she's young and she's not, dressed like wildly professionally. And he assumes she's the intern that's supposed to report to work that day. And so he starts like yelling at her, basically giving her stuff to do. And she's just like, okay. And so she starts working there and she keeps showing up every day. And so he thinks she's the intern. They fall in love. Obviously, something's going to have to come clean somewhere. So I like that.
That's cool. Well, and you have a new book out this recently that's a mistaken identity, right? Isn't the texting book a mistaken identity?
Pretty much, yeah, because she has a phone number that she believes belongs to one person, but it actually belongs to her boss, who she hates. So it's enemies to lovers and mistaken identity. Maybe that's why.
Look at you just layering those. You're just building that cake. There you go.
Yep. What about tropes that you don't like a lot?
I do not like secret babies.
I like a secret baby.
See, yeah, it's just not my thing. I do not like secret babies because there has to be you didn't tell somebody you were pregnant. There needs to be a lot of support for that to happen.
Yeah.
So secret babies are not my favorite. And I do not like, and I don't see this a whole lot anymore. So I think this trend has kind of faded out a little bit. But for a long time, there was a big trend of like a guy would see a girl like in a bar and some guy's hitting on her. And so the other guy walks up and just like kisses her on the cheek and puts his arm around her and pretends to be her boyfriend. And he's never met her.
Yeah.
And the movie Hitch does that. There's a scene in the movie Hitch where that happens, and it's handled much better because he doesn't touch her. He walks up and, just starts talking, and it makes the other guy go away.
Also, he's Will Smith, so.
Yeah, it's Will Smith. But what always bothered me about the dude just randomly shows up, is if I'm that girl, in my mind, I'm like, well, great. Now I have two of them I have to get rid of.
Yeah,
they're multiplying over here.
Not like, oh, thank you so much for saving me.
Right. And it's
unless I'm in a dark alley about to get raped.
Yes.
You don't need to intervene.
Well, and if you want to walk up and talk, that's fine. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
I don't know you. Don't touch me. And so, but I think in the last couple of years, I think that trend has kind of gone away a little bit.
I think because of that don't touch me thing, probably.
Yeah, just don't touch me.
It's the whole consent question. Yeah. I am not a fan of the Billionaires at this point. I think I'm just tired of it. And it's not really a trope, but I don't know, it gets played out. Yes. Although it's a whole, it's still going on. So
I love the Billionaires.
You do?
Because they get to do all of these things that I am never going to get to do.
Yeah.
So I'm good with the Billionaires.
I guess it depends on how it's done. I don't like the arrogant, entitled billionaire dude. I'm tired of that guy. I don't care how alpha he is, and protective and whatever. Like I'm tired of it. It can be done well. Don't get me wrong. And if you're writing that book, fantastic. Go do it. I will not be writing that book.
I can give several suggestions of how it's done well if people like it, though. Okay. So
if I was going to write it, it would be twisted, and we can talk about that in just a second. The other one I don't especially enjoy is the whole nanny thing, like falling in love with your nanny. I don't know. And again, it can be done well, I'm sure. I would like it if it was like a kick-ass nanny, like a take no prisoners, kind of like I will get your Mary Poppins, for instance. Like if she became the heroine, but Mr. Banks cannot be the hero, then like it has to.
That's not going to work for you.
No, but I could rewrite Mary Poppins, I think, in a way that would make me happy. I just don't like I feel like those nanny stories are often like an older man taking advantage of a younger girl. So that's why I don't enjoy that. That's all.
Well, and I think we're a good example of the whole, I think it's Margie Lawson thing, but I have one friend who uses the term all the time of you're not everybody's cookie.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of you could make the very best chocolate chip cookies in the whole wide world, but if my favorite cookie is oatmeal raisin and I want an oatmeal raisin cookie, your chocolate chip cookie is not going to do it for me.
Exactly. And that's okay.
And that is okay because that everybody likes different cookies. And so you can still be an amazing baker for the people who like your chocolate chip cookies. The oatmeal raisin people aren't your people.
Mm-mm. Yep, that's definitely true. So, and that's true no matter what kind of book you're writing. There will be people that will not enjoy it, period. And you have to get yourself over that. And, one of those people could be your mom. So just...
Yes, I am familiar with that. Actually, that actually happened to me. So yeah, I get it.
Yes, I get bountiful questions about every book that I write. Although It started to tail off now. I think my mom has gotten tired of reading my books, so she doesn't follow anymore. Every now and then she'll be like, "Oh, I read that one." Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
My mom reads literary fiction, so I think she's had enough.
So you're not her cookie.
She's had enough playful romance. Yeah. So she's like, when are you going to write a real book? Anyway, actually, she's never said that to me. I should not throw her under the bus like that. But I think she thinks it.
Did she watch us? Do we need to
I don't think
damage
so.
control? Okay.
I don't think she can manage the technology.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm sorry, Mom. I do love you. All right. Well, so let's get to the point here. If you're going to pick,
let's twist some things.
If you're going to pick some of these tropes, how in the world can you do it so that it's not the same tired nanny book that everyone else has written? Or let's go with the billionaires. Like, how can we write a billionaire book that is interesting and isn't just like, I mean, you can't outdo Laurel and Page for a hot, dirty, dark billionaire, or, I don't know. I can't think of a ton of other examples because I don't write them, but I've edited some great billionaire books. Sierra Simone does a good billionaire.
Nadia Lee's billionaires are amazing.
Yeah. Well, so how do we, if I'm new to this and I'm like, I am going to write a billionaire book because I love a billionaire, how do I make it my own?
Well, I think it's that, and this is what I think makes some of our clients' books amazing as far as the billionaire, is you make it more about, you layer on a different trope onto that. And so, for example, with Nadia's books, all of her heroes are billionaires, but you layer on the office romance trope on top of it, or the assistant, or the nanny, or the childhood best friend, all of these different layers that go on there that have a different dynamic to it because you are dealing with somebody who has a lot of money. So they have access to do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do with just somebody who, is average person.
Right. And I think sometimes, like, I'm probably not alone in this, but when I think billionaire, I think the suit and the scruff on the jaw and the perfect tie and the man. But I think, you could have a guy who is like a .com billionaire who wears jeans to work every day, or a woman, for goodness sake, who is a billionaire. In fact, Lucy Score and Pippa Grant, Claire Kingsley, and Catherine Nolan wrote the Blue Water Billionaires, which was a whole series of books about female billionaires who all lived on this awesome little island. Or was it called the Blue? Something like that. Anyway.
But it's happened.
But you're right.
And I had a great one for the nanny. If you're going to twist the nanny, make it a single mom who has a male nanny.
The Manny. Just like in This Is Us. Yeah. Right. Or what if the nanny is actually the billionaire? There's a twist.
Or you have to hire your childhood friend as the nanny because they are, just got out of a bad relationship with somebody who scammed them out of all their money. So now you have to have them take care of your child. And then you've got layered tropes.
You've got a secret baby and you end up hiring the baby's father to be the Manny.
Ooh, that one's good. I like that
you're
one.
A billionaire. Or he's a billionaire. No, because then why would he be the Manny? But anyway, so you have to unleash your brain a little bit and let yourself start digging through the piles of like, okay, I've read this story a lot of times. How can I make it my own? So I pulled a couple of examples from movies that I thought were like fun twists on tropes. And one you probably don't think about, but I know everybody's seen, is Shrek. Mm-hmm. So Shrek is an ugly duckling story, right? Or at least the love story part of it is, except the princess is the ugly duckling, and her ugly state is actually being a human, beautiful princess. Her beautiful state in this love story is the ogre, which I thought was just a super clever twist on that trope. Yeah?
Yeah, I like that.
And then I don't know if other people have seen this movie, The Intern, with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. I thought it was super cute. I think I watched it one of those weekends when I didn't have my family with me and I was looking for something to watch in a hotel. But it's he's Robert De Niro. He's an older dude. It goes looking, I think he's retired, maybe his wife dies or something, but he's bored and he's like, I need something to do. So he becomes an intern at this company with this like harried young woman boss, Anne Hathaway. And she's so fed up with him because he's not mastering the technology quickly. Like he's your dad coming to work at your company, basically. And so it's a really fun twist on, usually it's, the harried billionaire dude boss and the young female intern. And that's not what's happening here at all. And they're not the love story, thankfully.
I was going to say,
yeah,
that would be quite a twist.
No, it's charming the way that it's done. I really enjoyed the movie. Uh-oh, I've got Dawn frozen. Am I frozen? No.
You're not frozen. I'm moving.
Okay. Jennifer's looking for her snickerdoodle people.
Yeah.
We'll find
everybody's got their little specific place to be. So I think if you look back at some of the tropes that we just talked about, that like we talked about the billionaires, we talked about the nanny part. So for example, and a lot of times you can twist just the gender roles on it, of if you have the guy in the bar that's clearly uncomfortable with the girl coming on to him, and then you have a girl who walks up without touching him, but walks up and pretends to be with him, and then it's like, hey, I was just saving you. Maybe she knows the other girl and knows that this girl, likes to come on to guys and steal their wallet or whatever. So you can do that. You can have the woman who is the more like rough and tumble type person, that she drives the motorcycle and he's driving a Prius, and you can twist all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, things to look at are like stereotypes, gender stereotypes specifically, but also like you can twist settings. Like what if it was Romeo and Juliet, but they were on competing Alaskan fishing boats? Or
if you're querying, that's one of the things that they used to talk about all the time, is if you can say it's this meets that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Shrek meets High School Musical, or whatever. And so, but what you're really saying in that case is it's this trope and that trope together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's powerful. So if you can think about, if you're starting from scratch and you're going to write something new, think about the stories that you've really enjoyed and figure out what those tropes were, because likely you're going to write something similar if that's what you like. And then figure out how to make it your own. How can I turn one of the players on their ear? Can I make the guy the girl, the girl the guy? Can I give her a job that nobody would ever expect a woman to have? Or can I make him super germophobic? Or like there's a million ways to take what's already been done and freshen it up a bit. I feel like we've said nothing super enlightening here.
Well, because it's kind of simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, you take the recipe and then you decide, what can I put in this to make it a little bit more original without sending it completely. Like if I'm making brownies, what do I put into it that it keeps brownie flavor? It doesn't turn into, a pineapple upside down cake. Because if you have the trope, like, for example, I like my bad boy heroes. I really like my bad boy heroes who turn out to be like undercover cops.
Mm-hmm.
I might have a slight obsession with the Fast and the Furious series. I'm just saying that. But I like those kind of, like, the person that they're presenting to the world is different than the person that they are in private, and is different who they're with when they're with whatever love interest they're with. And so that's how I get to keep my brownie. Where that would turn into an upside down cake is, I like my bad boy hero, and I think I'm just reading like normal, like mafia romance bad boy hero, and then all of a sudden bad boy hero's an alien and he just jumped on a spaceship and took off. So if you're combining those tropes, you got to make sure they make sense. And
that
you got to give some
sense.
if I know what I'm getting into.
That's true. You have to then put in your description, hey, there's an alien twist here, or alien romance is part of this book. Because if you don't want to read alien romance, then that's not your book.
Well, and like, I like shifters. But if I'm picking up what I think is just a basic contemporary romance, or if I'm picking up what I think is a romantic suspense, and then all of a sudden the guy's like turning into a, giraffe at some point, then I feel like the trope has twisted to the point that it snapped, and then I'm not there with you anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the promise of the premise, right? If you're reading a romantic suspense, you are signing up for that. That does not generally entail paranormal elements.
Right. And I think that's what sometimes when you see these bad reviews, that's what the people have latched onto, is they had set up an expectation for that trope. And then, of like you said, this is supposed to be enemies to lovers. And if the two people who start off bickering with each other in the first chapter aren't the two people who are together by the end, then you twisted your trope too far because you broke the expectations of the genre.
Exactly. Well, and so, I mean, it is pretty simple. That's pretty much it. If you need a practical exercise to figure out, how to push your boundaries a little bit, I would, write a few tropes that you're going to play with. And then under each character, I would write the assumptions that you think come from you. These are the things I usually look for if I'm going to read a, little best friend's little sister. And then think about the things that you could tweak and make a little list or say it into your phone, whatever makes your brain activate so that you're coming up with kind of outlandish creative ideas. And then, some of them may be ridiculous, but pick the ones that work and combine them. And the next thing you know, you will have a great new idea.
Mm-hmm. And normally, because our brains do like comfort, normally the first couple ideas you come up with aren't going to be the most fabulous one because you go to what's safe. And so you've got to get past that a little bit and let yourself just completely play with it of, okay, so I want to do best friend's little sister. So what if me and my best friend are ninjas? And the little sister is, which it's not ninjas, but it's kind of part of the series of Arrow of we're, the little sister is this person who's not supposed to know we're ninjas, but she's going to have to find out we're ninjas. And so you can, it's going to take you a while to get to the ninjas on that one. So you got to let yourself just come up with everything and then narrow it down to, okay, I think there's several factors. One is, what do I want to write and what would I want to read?
Yeah.
And then you look at things like the market and that kind of stuff. But I think those are your top things of what do I want to write and what would I like to read?
Yep. Good advice. Well, so I think we've done it. So next week is our very exciting 50th episode, and we're going to have a party.
Yes.
Hopefully. So we're going to have the episode a little bit later than usual. I'll pop.
We're going prime time.
Yeah, I can't make the scheduler go up more than 7 days in advance, and they do it down to the hour. So tomorrow morning, I will put up the scheduler for next week's show. I think we decided 7 my time, which would be 9 East Coast time, and 8 o'clock your time. So 6 o'clock Pacific time. And luckily, when I do it through StreamYard, however it shows up on your Facebook is the time that's right for you. It's very smart like that. And Nancy,
because you don't want to trust us on that.
Yeah,
that's not our thing.
So we are going to be giving some things away. We will play a couple of games that may or may not involve writing. We'll probably talk about writing.
This is basically just going to be us celebrating the fact we have done 50 shows. That deserves celebration.
We think so.
We think so. Yeah.
Bring
so
a beverage.
Celebrate.
Bring a friend and hang out. It'll probably be silly.
Yeah. But that will be so off-brand for us, though. We are never silly. Silliness never factors into this.
I know.
But yes. So that is next week.
Yes. And then we have exciting stuff in May.
Yes. So in May, May 6th, we have Tamara Lush coming to talk to us about writing serialized fiction.
Yes, if you guys haven't seen Vella, Amazon's new serialized platform, it's actually part of the KDP platform, but she'll talk a little bit about that, but she'll talk about the other ones too.
Yes. And then May 13th, we're going to talk about indie versus traditional publishing, because normally we focus on story and we don't really get into the marketing and business side of stuff. This, we're going to take a break from story a little bit and talk about that. And then on May 20th, we have Delancey Stewart is going to be here.
I know her. Yeah, my co-writer, Marika, is going to join us, and we're going to do an episode about co-writing. So we're kind of focusing this month, next month, on publishing a little bit, different ways to publish, different platforms you can use, different ways to get your story out. So join us for that. And then I think we're going to take a summer break. Dawn and I are both moving this summer. So
and we love y'all, but we need to pack.
Yeah. So we are most likely going to take the entire months of June and July off and come back in August. But we'll talk more about that.
And we should clarify, we are taking June and July off from Story Strategy Live. Evident Inc. is still fully functional during June and July. We are still doing all of that.
Right.
There's still classes available.
Yep.
All of that, but we're not going to be doing the show for June and July.
So if you have an edit booked, we're not going to just randomly disappear. So sorry.
I didn't want to panic anybody. If you're booked, we got you. It's okay.
Yeah, our calendars remain the same. It's just we won't be here because we may not even have connectivity if we're in the middle of moving boxes and stuff. So figured it would just be easier to get our lives resettled and then pick back up where we left off.
So that's our plan.
That's the plan.
Please come hang out with us at the party next week. That's going to be exciting. And bring a friend and actually say hi. If you usually just watch, just, one time say hi to us so we know you're here.
Yep. And if you watch us later, try to pop in live. It would be super fun. And we do have cool prizes, I swear. And I will actually force myself to go mail them to you and everything.
That is the plan.
That's the plan. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks, Dawn. And we'll see you again next week.